Next speaker has offices in California, Southern California, and the Philippines. So he's truly figured out how to start a business. They're also bootstrapped, and I think they have 1,000 employees now in the Philippines office. So please welcome Jaspar Weir, President of TaskUs.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me? Is this on? Yeah? Cool. All right, there it is. Thanks, Max. I'm Jasper from TaskUs. I'm going to use this so you can see more than one slide. Let's get fired up because we're going to talk about outsourcing your sales development. Is anyone in here an SDR? Oh, man. No, I'm just kidding. So we're going to cover a few things, but before we do, again, I'm Jasper from TaskUs. I am the co-founder and president. When my co-founder and I flipped a coin to decide who was president and CEO, I thought president was cool, so I chose president. And now my job is mostly to build a scalable sales team and to be a full-time sales professional myself at this point. So let's talk today about number one. Cold calling is dying. I'm going to show you some stats. They're going to blow your mind about why cold calling is dying. And then we're going to look at what that means for the SDR. And we're going to redefine the role of the SDR. And we'll have a look at the cost associated with prospecting. Truly, what does it cost you to set appointments? And then finally, once your mind is blown once, you're going to be picking up pieces of your mind from the floor, and then I'm going to tell you about how to outsource all of your prospecting. You ready? No? Should I sit down? Are you ready? All right, let's do it. So, cold calling is dead. All right, I'm a little dramatic. Cold calling's not dead, but it's dying. In 2007, it took 3.68 calls to reach a prospect. Today, just 7 years later, it takes 8. 2% of cold calls result in an appointment. That's not a very good percentage. That's just an appointment. That's not a closed deal. That's not an opportunity. That's just an appointment. 2%. And it takes about 6.25 hours to set one appointment. So sales today has been specialized largely due to thoughts of predictable revenue like from Aaron Ross. And it makes sense, right? It's really special. It's like specialization of workforce built for the sales team. You guys all know about that. You've got your SDRs, you've got your account executives and your account managers, yada, 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 boring. We've seen this before. It's been adopted by the best companies in the world, this specialized sales force. But what does all of these companies, what do all of these companies have in common with my man Jay-Z? Does anybody know? Let's take a look. Clear slide. That's a lot of money. Marketo and LinkedIn raised so much money they had to go public. So did Salesforce. Adderall, a lot of money. All of these guys have one thing in common. They've got a lot of funding. Okay? SDRs are expensive. They are. And if you're like TaskUs and you're not like these guys and you're seed around and your Series A and your Series B all equals $0, you can't just go hire a fraternity of guys and start an SDR team. But how expensive are SDRs really? Average salary, just salary, is $55,000, not including expensive rent here in the city, not including employer contributions and everything else. And that means you're paying about $230 a day for your lovely SDRs. And what do the SDRs do all day, right? A lot of what they do is prospecting. Got these bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, right out of NYU kids who think they're going to run the world, and you put them in your sales team And they probably look like this most of the day. This is not what they came here to do. They want to be closing deals, right? This kind of work, prospecting and researching, can be unengaging at times, can be boring, can be expensive, go down weird rabbit holes when you start researching companies. I certainly have. And the average SDR, let's just say an SDR takes about 2 hours a day to research, sometimes more, but let's just say 2 hours a day. That's about $57 a day that you're spending for them to be researching. And again, we're doing a lot of math here. I know it's early for math, but try to stick with me. 10 to 15 calls per hour, okay? If that's what the SDRs can make, 2 hours of research means we're losing 20 to 30 calls a day. And again, let's remember this stat, 50 calls for one appointment, 2%. That means, again, doing the math thing here, your cost to set an appointment, because you have to spend 2 hours a day researching, now goes up from $154 to about $230. Okay, that's $76 per appointment. So I want to switch gears for a sec and talk about my favorite subject, which is how awesome TaskUs is, and a little bit about our story. So today, TaskUs works with the best companies in the world. Our clients are Apple and Uber and Tinder and Whisper, you name it. We help them outsource customer service and other operational processes. Most of this growth has come, we got about 1,000 employees, and this growth has mostly come in the past few years. So let's rewind a few years. It was really my co-founder and I sitting in an office. We had some folks in the Philippines already, and we were going to make our first hire. We were going to hire a real live salesperson, someone who'd come into our office, be on the phone, and close deals. We were so excited. And he came in, and he spent most of his days not on the phones, not closing deals. I know because we had one small office and worked literally right next to me. And I asked him, I said, hey, salesperson, what are you doing? What are you doing all day? What are you doing? I mean, shouldn't you be on the phone closing some deals? And he's like, well, we can't just work with anybody. I got to do a lot of research. I got to find good companies, and then I got to find their contact information. It takes a long time to find their emails and their phone numbers, and I can't just call all the time. I don't have a list of anything. I said, okay, well, we've got a couple hundred people in the Philippines. They do really similar work for a lot of our clients. Like, can they do this for you? And we tried it out, and so we sent some people. We gave them a couple people. We said, all right, train these folks, and let's have them just, let's have them, you give them the leads, they'll find the information, okay? So let's save you some time. So that's what we started to do. He'd give them a list of companies that he'd come up with. People in the Philippines would research it, they'd find all the information, they'd put it in Salesforce. It was great. And so now I asked him, I said, hey, Mr. Salesperson, you're still not on the phones, what are you doing? And he said, well, I have to read blogs and figure out like sales triggers and why we should contact them. And that stuff takes a long time. I said, well, we've got people in the Philippines that they've been now researching for a few months. Do you think maybe they can be trained and you can tell them like how to figure out what companies you want to talk to? And he said, yeah, okay, I guess I'll try it out. So we did. We taught the team in the Philippines how to identify good targets. So what blogs should they be reading? What sources should they be looking for their data? And that worked. So as we started to build our sales team, about a year in, we did an audit, and we looked, and we wanted to figure out where our opportunities were coming from. And they weren't coming from cold calls, right? They were coming from LinkedIn messages and mostly emails. So we were in a sales meeting one day, and someone brought up the idea. They said, well, can we send emails from the team in the Philippines? And immediately everyone's like, no. It's impossible. We're Americans. It's a cultural thing. The sales guys are like, yeah, I take a long time with these emails. They're really good emails. You can't outsource that. So I said, well, why not? I mean, like, it is our job to take seemingly complex processes and break them down and then send them to the Philippines and have people do them there. Let's become our own client, and let's try it out. Let's see if we can do this. So we did. But before we began to really try to figure out like what goes in a good email and how we were going to do this, we first needed to know what we did not want to be. So Has anyone ever received an email from, let's say, a Steve in New Jersey that's like a blatantly, it's like someone sitting in a cave in Pakistan somewhere? Yeah, so people have gotten the, I'm just going to read you one of my favorites. I get these about once a week. So this one says, I can't really read that from memory. It says something along the lines of, Dear Sir/Madam, we submit to inform you that we are a company engaged in image editing, copy and copywriting, data management, and more. So now that we know what we didn't want, right? And this is from Steve in New Jersey. Thanks, Steve. Does this really work? Is this how you close all your business, Steve? So we knew what we didn't want. So we began to break down the process and figure out, well, how can we write emails from our team in the Philippines that work? And so we began to teach the team how to send customized emails, one-to-one emails, not using Salesforce, not using a mail merge, not using anything to blast out the emails, but custom one-to-one emails. And we found a lot of the things that John and TK are going to be talking about next in terms of what goes in those emails. So I'm going to skip through that stuff. But really, the basics of it are having a really great subject line, a reason to contact, the why you now. Could be a press mention, a quote from a founder, any sort of sales trigger. Specific ask. Blurb, I know I'm rushing through this, but you'll get this stuff and from people that are far better than I am in terms of explaining actually how to write emails. A blurb about what your company does and a specific call to action. You got to ask for the business. If you want a phone call, ask for a phone call. So what are the results? Let's look at this. And we've scaled the team up and with 7 people. And keep in mind, this is for TaskUs because I can share the results. When we've rolled this out to a couple clients and we're seeing similar results. We focus on quality. We don't need a million deals. We focus on making sure our team researches all the information about the company. So we allow them to take a lot of time per lead. So in each month, from about 7 people, we generate about 800 emails. That includes identifying, that includes making sure we have all the information on that company before it's sent out. And out of those 800, we get about 29% response rate. Now, these emails look like they're coming from the SDR. It's coming from the SDR's account. They're being written and sent in the Philippines, but coming from the SDR's account, okay? 29% response rate. 8% of those are actually appointments. And to give you an idea of how good these appointments are, 43% of our appointments or first phone calls turn into qualified opportunities. And yes, we have good qualification factors for what we consider an opportunity, okay? So 3.4% of that total pool of initial leads actually ends up in an opportunity. Does anyone remember what the SDR cost was to set an appointment? I'll give you a bagel, if anyone remembers. That's how much you're leaving on the table, 76, $2.30. Who said $2.30? Go help yourself to a bagel. Thank you. Our cost per pre-research lead is about $5. Now, that's a little unfair because we are an outsourcing company. It's kind of the wholesale price. But bear with me for a sec. You'll see why it's important. $71 per appointment versus $2.30. Okay, so even if we doubled our cost, even if we had 300% markup, which we don't because we are a reasonably priced outsourcing service, it's still $71 per appointment versus $2.30. Now, before you fire your SDRs and go buy an island in the Philippines, let me tell you why you shouldn't do that. This actually means the SDR role is more important than ever. SDRs can now be supercharged. They can do higher value things besides the researching, right? The SDRs can be optimized to prioritize your high value targets, follow up with some active leads and inbound leads, focus on refining the outreach. We have our SDRs actually help the team in the Philippines. We have the SDRs constantly QA and give them strategies how to write better emails. And most importantly, they can call the leads that don't answer. Remember, only 29% respond, so most people still don't respond to our emails. These are well-qualified, in terms of well-researched leads. They have to know about TaskUs. We are doing them a disservice if we don't call them many, many times. Okay? So focus your SDRs on actually calling these people. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to call, and the email comes from them. So the person on the other line is now probably, thanks to tools like Jaspar and Tout App, we can see who actually opened our emails. the person on the other line has probably seen our email, and we made a good first impression. We weren't just a blast. We were a customized email that showed we took time to research, that showed we took time to show a little bit of respect if we were going to trespass their inbox. So you get them on the phone, they're going to have a positive first impression. They're going to be more likely to talk to you. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, TaskUs is awesome, but you run an outsourcing company, Jasper. You should be able to do this. This is your job. How does this apply to us? Well, I'm glad you guys asked, because I'm going to tell you. One size does not fit all. This works for TaskUs. We don't need many deals. We have large enterprise deals. If you're a B2C model or a really transactional business, the strategy may not be right for you. So what you need to do first of all is make sure you understand, or at least have an idea of what your LTV is. We've got 0 minutes left, so I'm just going to wrap this up. Okay, so understand your LTV. If you're above $5,000 for your LTV, this strategy might work. If you're below, it's probably not going to. You've got to figure out a way to be able to blast out more emails. Do you have the money? More importantly, do you have the time? This stuff takes time to do. You have to really focus your energy on making sure you invest in these strategies, okay? It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And if you do, and you're ready to invest in this, document your process. When you document your process, break down your research. Define good and bad prospects. Create a list. 100 good prospects, 100 bad prospects. Why are they good? Why are they bad? Determine reliable data sources and sales triggers. So where are you finding your contact information? Tools like Datanyze are great. Tools like Built With also provide an extra layer of data that you can use to customize your emails. Then identify specific data points. So are emails required? Are phone numbers required? What's the most important? What are the nice to have? What are the need to have? And then test it out. Do at least 100. 1,000 is better. A/B test. Don't A, B, C, D, E, F, G test. Just A/B test. You can do 2 different types of emails. Use tools like ToutApp and Jaspar to track your opens, and you can really see the activity of how these emails are working. And then, if you're ready, if you find some success, and you're ready to invest in the relationship and really have your process documented, you can find an outsourcing partner. You can hire people yourself on Odesk or Freelancer. You can use a service like Lead Genius that does pretty much what we talked about to really throw some fuel on the fire. So I'm not even going to go through conclusions because I'm negative time now, but I really thank all you guys for listening today. Don't fire your SDRs right away, but make sure if you're going to invest in this process, invest your time, invest your energy, and it will pay off. Thank you. Two questions. Softballs only, please.
Yeah, I had a question about when you were talking about having people in the Philippines do the research
Yeah.
in Salesforce. They also, like at least in my company, sometimes the research is, you can't just find it online. You actually have to call into a non-decision maker in the company
Right.
to get
Yep.
get the market information that I need. Are they doing that too, or are they just doing?
So that's a great question. So the question was, is the team in the Philippines, if you can't find the research online, are they also calling in? Maybe not calling in to the decision maker, but calling in. It's a great question, and it depends. You can do that. Our team does. So for example, we have our team actually call into every phone number they put in to just navigate the phone tree and put in extensions. And then they'll also even call sometimes and see if they can actually get someone on the line and take note of that. So we will do things like that. We have other clients where we'll call and just kind of do pre-call research where we're calling and asking, hey, are you the office manager, or asking and finding out that information, kind of teeing it up for the salesperson. So that's a great question. Thank you. One more question. Over there, yeah.
What's a realistic timetable to expect an outsource partner to get educated enough to be effective? 3 months, 6 months? What would be saying?
It's a good question. Rule of thumb, I'd say 3 months is a good time because you have a ramp period. You're dealing with people. These are complicated processes. I think 3 months gives you enough time with a partner to really understand why or how it's a good fit for both of you. I would say allow 3 months. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. I'll be here all day.